Hello everyone, today of course we will be presenting our CFL Week 2 picks, and I will be talking about the games, what I expect, a little bit of the storylines, and then of course who I will be picking for these games. So to start off, you have Montreal against Toronto. The Owls look to bounce back after a very disheartening loss after Week 1 in Calgary after having a really, sizable lead. Toronto, of course, kicks off their season on a good note, hoping to kick it off on a good note after having such a good year last year with a disappointing finish. Had, Hamilton on the ropes, but of course, we're not able to get the deal done to go to the Grey Cup. I think the biggest thing here for this game is going to be whether or not we get to see Toronto gel. Every year, a lot of teams, basically every team in the CFL, has a lot of new guys, but Toronto not only has a lot of new guys, they got a lot of big name guys. You got to see how Andrew Harris, Brandon Banks, Garrett Davis, guys like them are going to do in year one with Toronto. Very curious to see how this goes. I picked Montreal. I don't know how this game will go. I think it's not that I hate McLeod Bethel Thompson. It's just that I trust Montreal a little bit more with their quarterback play. If Vernon Adams Jr. isn't working, you can go to Trevor Harris. I really want to see what we get from Toronto. I know a lot of people are viewing them as a better team than I have thought of them to be. I will say I haven't seen them play yet with this group yet. Curious to see how this week goes. Maybe it'll change how I view Toronto going forward, but as for now, I'm picking Montreal. The other game, Winnipeg versus Ottawa. We will get to see whether or not we get another close game like we saw in Week 1. Ottawa really went after Winnipeg, especially their secondary. Like we said in our recap of Week 1, really were not afraid to throw against Winston Rose there. Took deep shots, and I really think that for Winston Rose especially, and that secondary in general, you're going to have to see them bounce back and really have something to prove. If you get torched and you are a DB, the next week you really are looking to have a bounce back game. And if it's against the same guys, you really want to. Another thing here, Winnipeg's offense is going to have to get going because it's good to have a good defense, but if you're not going to be able to put up points, I just don't see them being able to win another game where they only score 19 points. Now they could, absolutely, but that's not sustainable for a season. Of course, also, I want to see if Jalen Hacklin will have a bounce back game, put up big stats in that Week 1 game, but of course, the attention was not necessarily on his play. I picked Winnipeg here. My thinking is Winnipeg has a week. They have some opportunity to adjust some things. Ottawa came out and really just blew, at them and just kind of went right at them. But I'm really thinking Winnipeg will adjust. I still think it could be a close game, but I will say if Winnipeg is able to make the right adjustments, they probably will be able to pull away with another win. Calgary versus Hamilton. Got to be the toughest game of the week. As of right now, we do not know if Bo Levi Mitchell will be healthy for this game. And what happens if he isn't? Now, this is something that I've talked about a little bit on my Instagram. I've said Jake Maier kind of could be the future. I know you're paying Bo a little bit of money, of course. Well, a little bit, quite a bit of money. But if Jake comes on in and Bo is not healthy and he comes in, let's say, just for a few weeks and tears it up again, can you just keep putting him in as the backup and, sliding him back and putting Bo back in? I really think this is going to be an interesting game here, whether or not you see Bo or you see Jake. Either way, it should be a good quarterback going out there. I know Bo obviously has had some struggles. I'd like to see him get back to his old form. The other thing is, will Hamilton's offense be able to help its defense out after, just being obliterated here by Saskatchewan in that game? They really struggled. They had, 8 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, multiple interceptions, if I'm not mistaken. Just a bad game. A game you want to bury and a game you want to bounce back from in front of your home crowd. Will Hamilton's offense be able to do well against Calgary's defense, who, had some rough looks against Montreal in the first half. Second half cleaned things up a little bit. I think their longest play that they allowed in the second half was a 26-yard pass to Eugene Lewis. Very curious to see how this goes. And also, you don't want to talk about the standings too early, but it doesn't hurt to talk about it. Let's say Hamilton loses and Montreal loses. Then you got to think Toronto, who won the East last year, would be 1-0. The other two teams would be 0-2. Got to wonder what that'll be like if the other two teams in the East that made the playoffs last year started 0-2. We talked about how the East could beat each other up. Really would help a team like Toronto if they could take down the Alouettes in Week 1 and then have Calgary take care of business in Week 2. Now for the final game. Holy cow. Saskatchewan versus Edmonton. The biggest thing, how will Edmonton bounce back after an awful season opener against the BC Lions? The defense was torched by BC, and this is just the type of the game the Riders' offense would like to have if Edmonton's defense struggles again. You have a team that has a lot to prove here in this week, but if they struggle again, Saskatchewan that has had some struggles at times, especially last year with their offense, would love to be able to take advantage of a team that is down and out. As for Edmonton's offense, they're facing a Saskatchewan team that did this in week 1. 8 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 2 interceptions. They ended up forcing 9 punts, gave up 11 first downs, had a lot of turnovers that they forced, a lot of pressure they put on the quarterback. You have to watch out for this in this week. Edmonton, I don't know. I think this is going to be a really tough game for Edmonton here. I think that this is going to have to be a prove-it game, and I do think the biggest thing here, do not rush Trey Ford. Put Nick Arbuckle in there. Even if the team is struggling, do not rush Ford and do not throw him out there to the dogs, that being the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I am picking Saskatchewan in this game, and I do think it should be a comfortable win, but you never really know in the CFL. So to recap, I am picking the Alouettes, the Blue Bombers, the Calgary Stampeders, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. There are tough games here, obviously Montreal versus Toronto, and Calgary versus Hamilton. I don't know how those will go, but if I could just go 2-2 this week after going 4-0 last week, I'd really enjoy it. But, of course, I'd take more than that. So we'll have to see what are your picks for the week. Let me know down below and why. Also, make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe if you are new. Everyone stay safe. Have a great night.